Brandy and I go March 7th, 2020. We drive 2 hours to Sterling. We go to this conference. We come back. We are excited because March 22nd, we are rolling this out to the women of the church. We are doing this like dinner Bible study red tent thing.
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
This is like big leagues. Like we've made it. Like the fact that Charlotte said yes is mind-blowing. And the fact like this is going full steam ahead. Like we've made it to the big time. But this is really now the first time that you and I have actively planned together, worked together, like been on the same project, and that we are conscious that we are on the same project. And we're starting to, I think it took a little bit of time. Like we did a lot of because I was still working full time, but we did a lot of the like communicating through Brandley. Sorry, my friend. Brandy. So I feel like we did a lot of communicating through Brandy, and then slowly that weaned away. And because I don't remember it being like an instant, bam, the three of us are all hanging out and talking, but there were moments of that, and it got to be more and more and more as time goes on.
Yeah. So where things are rolling, things are moving, and we are going to roll this out, and we are so excited.
So excited.
Then March 13th, 2020.
Faith can feel like hearts and butterflies until someone lights a match and burns it all to the ground. Welcome to the Burning Butterflies podcast.
The sad thing is that there's abuse of every kind within the church. But the spiritual abuse is the stuff that just
It's a place there shouldn't be abuse. Like, there just shouldn't be abuse in a place that claims Jesus.
Well, it ruins your soul. If you're new here, we suggest listening to our prologue episode first. This is the story of two women's journey through toxic church culture and spiritual abuse, all while finding healing in the end.
Sometimes it's just the facts, and if you get offended by it, that's a you issue. And if we can't be mature enough to have these conversations, even if some of the topics are difficult, then shame on us.
So for those of you who don't know,
for those of you that don't know,
well, no, I wasn't going there.
Oh, okay. I'm like, who doesn't know?
My daughter's birthday is March 13th. So she has gone through, there was a year she had the flu. We had like this thing called the bomb cyclone one year where it was supposed to like snow like 6 feet and like everything canceled. Like we were supposed to have her birthday party at like a skating rink, and they called and they're like, yeah, we're closing. We're expecting all this snow and everything. It was supposed to be like, Snowmageddon, and it snowed like 3 inches and that's it. But everything canceled. So she canceled her birthday. Just all of this stuff. Like I got pneumonia on her birthday one year. Like, I mean, this girl cannot catch a break, right? So we're going on like the 5th year in a row of like things happening on her birthday and her not being able to have a birthday party. Like what she envisioned and what we originally planned. And she is so excited because she is going to actually get to take cupcakes to her class and have a birthday party. On March 13th, she was going to take cupcakes. I can't remember if it was like
spring break. It was like
it was before spring break started.
Yeah, right.
So
before spring break.
So spring break was supposed to be the next week. So we had planned it out. Her class was doing like the week after her birthday, they were doing a bunch of like exciting like parties and events and celebrations and stuff before they went on spring break. And so her teacher, because she is Jolynn, and so she was like, I have not had a birthday in 4 years. And all dramatically explains to her teacher all the stuff that has happened. So her teacher basically is like, we're going to make this really special for you. And so it was planned that it was supposed to be this whole next week. It was like we were going to get to bring cupcakes, and her teacher was going to do something really special for her. And so March 13th, we get notification that they are sending kids home because, you know, in like January, we start hearing about COVID. Then, you know, by February, you know, there's more and more cases. So by March, we're in a full-blown pandemic. So, you know, 2 weeks, stay home, stop the spread, all the things, right? Like flatten the curve, all that stuff is like full swing. And so we get notification that they will not have the week before spring break. They will have 2 weeks of spring break instead of just one. So they're having an extended spring break. They're just going to go home. They'll have some worksheets to work on, you know, that week that they're supposed to be in school. But, you know, we're going to have an extended spring break, flatten the curve. We'll see you all, you know, back like, yeah, like the end of March, right? Like we'll see you at the end of March, right?
Right.
So, my daughter is devastated. So it is constantly like, oh, COVID. And my daughter's like, yeah, I know. The world shut down on my birthday. And that is the 5th year in a row I was not able to have a birthday.
It's so funny. But sweetie, the world didn't shut down on your birthday. It waited a few days.
Yeah, it was a couple days later. Like
it was on the 17th. It was St. Patrick's Day. I feel like there was, okay, this is just on my restaurant side of the world. There were some laws and rules and things that got passed for that really were directly related to drinking.
Yeah.
That I felt like it was a personal attack on drinking. Like I had this thought during this time. I'm like, restaurants and bars, everything had to be closed, like no in-person service on St. Patrick's Day. So there was no St. Patrick's Day celebrations that year. But then they had like strange curfews and like rules, but they would always include something about drinking. It was like, what is going on? Why is the government like anti-drinking all of a sudden? It was weird. But anyway, the poor thing, though. She's like, I know my kids. So we had started homeschooling already. And then when you guys got an extended spring break, my kids were like, do we get an extended spring break? And I'm like, nope. Our school didn't shut down.
Sucks to suck.
Nothing. But you know what, though? Honestly, like nothing
We're
changed.
quarantining together.
Yeah, nothing. Like as far as that goes, like we had I almost could say that in my household, like that whole COVID thing, like almost practically didn't happen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like we were not affected by it, like in the slightest. I like, you know,
this
restaurants.
Is what broke me.
Oh no, because I'm like, restaurants shut down, you know, March 17th, and then my boss came to me and he's like, so about your like 3-month notice that you turned in, you know, and it's like, he's like, if you don't want to leave, you don't have to. And I'm like, okay, then let's just resend my notice and I will continue working until who knows when at this point. So I unquit my job. But I worked the same hours, same scheduling, you know, like.
Yeah, because people could pick up food.
Yeah.
Yeah. And carry out.
I kid you not, we thought that weekend, they told everybody to stay home. We had to close down. We could do to-go food. We thought nobody was going to show up. I went home and I cried on my way home. I haven't cried in the restaurant industry since I was 23. something years old. I mean, like one time, some old man over sour cream was really nasty to me, and I bawled my eyes out. But I was young, right? I like everybody came to get food. I think the entire population of Northern Colorado. And this isn't like a drive-through style restaurant. Like we can handle a lot, but we are not fully equipped for, like, we don't have a system to manage this many to-go orders.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was driving home and I cried. And then I was like, hey guys, we seat this many people. We just don't to-go food this many people. So what if we use the hosting software and put people on the wait, like for a table, and then their food getting handed to them is them getting seated? How about we use the tools that we have been given to seat this many people? Because the restaurant I worked at is super busy, like beyond like super busy, and during that time. And yeah, like the business we saw was not unusual. It's just we're used to seeing that many people
sitting in chairs, not
and putting them on a wait
food,
and juggling tables and sending them out the door and seating new people, like turning over tables. And so we did that. And I mean, we had lines the entire time we were shut down, out the parking lot, wrapped around the parking lot, out to the side streets, like just boom, 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 boom. So I homeschooled my kids in the mornings, and I went and ran a restaurant at night, and my world didn't change much.
My world sucked. So we're going to take the next few episodes to talk about what we did at the church, because
that's where we were at with that.
So March 13th is a Friday, right? We get told kids are going home, extra couple weeks. I get the email while I am at work in the office. I tell Tom, this is what they just said. Tom, we had conversations in the office of, what is going on with this. Lori was really like freaking out. She had like medical issues like lupus and other things. And so she was really concerned what she was seeing on TV and stuff. And so she was getting like Twyla all worked up. And Tom is like, it's just the flu. It's fine. And God will protect us. And, where's your faith and all that, right? So I say, okay, so they're sending the kids home for 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And we're supposed to stay home with them. Like it specifically said, like, we encourage you not to go on vacation with your kids. Don't use this as a vacation. Like, we want everyone to stay home. Right. And so Tom gets super mad, and he yells at me. He screams at me in the office because all I did was read him the email from the school district. And he screams at me that there is no law telling him he has to shut down. The school is not God, and the school is not the Holy Spirit. And who does this superintendent think she is? And he is like yelling at me, and we are not shutting down. So it's like, okay, we're not shutting down. So for the rest of the day, we're fielding phone calls from people. Hey, are we having service on Sunday? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And so it is decided on Saturday morning. Actually, it might have even been Friday night. No, it was Saturday morning. Saturday morning, me and my children and Brandy and her boys, and then a friend of ours, she has 4 boys. She came over, and then my oldest son, one of his friends, came, and we all met at the church. And your girls came over. I think Brandy brought your girls. And the kids made a video. I have the video. So I am going to post that video over on our Patreon. It'll be available for free for you to go over and look at. Any markers and anything like that of the church's name, I'll blur out. I don't think there's any, but I will. But the kids, we make a video of, you might be nervous to come to church, And basically, we're supposed to stay away from each other, right? But like, the Bible says we're not supposed to give up gathering. All of this stuff that Tom screamed at me the day before, right? All these verses. So we are encouraging people to come to church. But if you're not comfortable greeting each other with a hug, because we're family, right? Like we're family and we love each other, and this is how we greet each other. And like, well, hell, Twyla's kissing people on the cheek when she, is hugging them and welcoming them to church every Sunday. And so the kids make this video of different ways to greet one another without having to touch each other. And it's kind of like a silly little fun video. And it's basically like, we're having service and we'd love to see you there, kind of thing. So we make that on Saturday morning. I edit it real quick. I throw it out there. We're having service. So on the 15th, we have a full service. We don't care if you want to. Tom's mindset is if you're really worried, you could stay home and watch us online. If you're a little worried, come and sit and just put your coat or something next to you so no one sits right next to you. Please ask people permission before you go sit right next to them. But other than that, if you want to hug each other, hug each other. If you want to, and his sermon that Sunday was all about how we don't live in fear and God will protect us. And this is the house of the Lord. Do you not think God does not love what we do here in this building? Do you think God is not proud of all you have done, of how much you've given and what we're doing for our community? Do you not think God doesn't see that and will reward us and bless us? So do you really think God is going to have someone get sick and die from coming to church to praise his name? I thank God that no one from our church died from COVID as a result of coming to church. We did lose people to COVID within our church body. We did. But it was not a direct result of coming to church. And I am so thankful for that, because there are churches out there that their pastors delivered the exact same message and people died because of it. Yeah. And so that was Sunday the 15th. Tuesday the 17th of March, we get notification from our county. Everything is shut down.
Yeah.
We are done.
You're done. Shut her down.
And I make 2 videos from the office.
Yeah.
Explaining basically tech issues.
Which I think that's so funny, because it's like, do you feel like it took, like, things happened in stages? Like, they sent all the kids home from school, but we knew for a while, and maybe not a long while, like maybe like we got notice that like we operated business up until whatever time it was on the 16th, right? And we had to be closed on the 17th at the restaurant. So we had gotten notice prior to the 17th that we had to be shut down on the 17th. But then I feel like with churches and stuff, like, I don't know. Do you feel like there was like well, do we have to tell them to like, I don't know. Like there was all this, like, there was so much like unknown and like different messages here and different things there.
Well, and that's the thing. And so Tom was like, unless it specifically says it on the county website, I don't care that our town could tell us no, whatever. But unless the county tells us no, we're not, and we'll honor.
Finally sent it out.
We'll honor the authority placed over us, because that is so stupid. That is, God calls us to honor the authorities placed over us, so that's what we're gonna do. And so, I, from the 17th to the 22nd, I turn the entire website 100% online. Anything we did in person, I spent those days converting to be fully online and digital. We weren't just relying on Zoom. I built entire online platforms for prayer walls. I talked to ministries of, children's ministry every single week. And as long as this sucker lasts, we need to have children's lessons, a teacher present a lesson that families can watch together, give them an activity that they could do. Youth, same thing. Youth leaders, you're going to record a lesson. We're going to put that out there. Tom, we have worked on, you were going to start a video, like now we would say he was going to do a video podcast every week, right? But like that was the plan. And then he, pivoted, right? So we had all this stuff. Like you have everything. You have the equipment, all of that. You're going to do your sermons. You can do them from your office, by yourself in the office. You could do them from your home. I really don't care. You're going to record it. Everyone needs to give their stuff to me by Saturday morning, so I have time to get it all set. And it'll all go live at 10 a.m. on Sunday when church is supposed to happen. That was all me. 100%. We were streaming services, but we weren't prepared technically to be able to have 100% online. A lot of churches got caught with their pants down during this time. It really showed a lot of churches just how not prepared they were. So imagine a church body in a small rural-ish community, all the old people who do not know how to use a computer, who do not know how to tithe online, who do not know how to go and watch the sermons and the lessons online. Because not only were we I was going to put it out, everything was pre-recorded. So you could watch it on our website, you could watch it on our YouTube, you could watch it on our Facebook. It would be available across multiple platforms all at the same time. We weren't live streaming it. It was pre-recorded stuff that we were putting out there, right? And so I get all of it set up. I set up, we had old people who were scared to go to the grocery store. I had an online forum of, you text help to this number. It puts it up on this forum. Someone can say, I'm going to do this. They text, the number and say, I'm going to do this. And so that it would automatically take it off the forum. I set all of that up in 4 days. In 4 days, I did all of that. And so I made videos of here's our new online platform. I am sitting in the office. I will post this video. And this is significant because I look at myself in that video and I have, hope, life in my eyes at that point. But I am sitting in the office and I have my phone and I'm showing the camera. This is, if you go to our website on your phone, this is what it's going to look like. Here's where you scroll. This is what you're going to click on for this. This is what you're going to click on for this. If you want to tithe, if you've never tithed, this is how we set that up. So I make 2 technical videos and I say, it'll be fine. We're all good. We care about you. We care about your health. All of this. Tom puts out a statement, just a written statement at this point saying, hey, this is what we were told by the county. We have to shut down. The office is closed. Lori was not comfortable because we were going to rotate through coming into the office. So there was only one person in the office at a time. Lori wasn't comfortable with that. She was terrified of getting sick, and she didn't trust that everyone would, because we talked about well, if you come in from 10 to noon and that's your time, then when you're done, you're going to wipe everything down with Clorox wipes, and then we're going to have the office be empty from noon to 1, and then someone else can come in from like 1 to 3, right? And that was kind of our plan. Lori didn't want to do that, so she decided she was taking her computer home. So Lori was doing all of the church finances from her dining room at home. And so my kids were home, so I was like, well, I'll take my computer home. And so then Tom can come in, he can come and go in the office as he pleases. And at that point, Barbara Jean, like, I don't know what she was wanting to come in and do, because we didn't have communication cards. We didn't have stuff for her to take to the bank. Like, I don't know what she was wanting to come in and do, but she was still adamant she needed to come in on Mondays. And so it was, okay, they could have the office, they could do what they want. Me and Lori are going to work from home. And so the 22nd is we're supposed to be completely 100%. Everything is closed. We're not having service. Tom was supposed to record his sermon for the 22nd and get it to me. He calls me the night of the 21st and says, I can't do this. I can't talk into a computer. I can't give my message talking into. I'm stuttering. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like looking at myself on the screen. I don't like it. So I can't do this. You're going to have to meet me at the church. And we're going to have to record this at the church. And I said, we can't, like, we're not allowed to. And he goes, it'll be fine. So the night of the 21st, we go at night under the cover of darkness, park in the back so no one can see us.
That there's cars there.
We leave all of the lights in the lobby, everything off. We only turn the lights on in the sanctuary. We have all of the covers from like the Good Friday celebration that Corey and Topanga did, and she covered all the doors in the sanctuary with black paper and like wrote Bible verses with chalk.
Because all the doors have windows, so you can see the lights if they're on. So you have these black magnetic things that went over the windows.
Yep. So we had all of those up, so no one could see that the lights were on in the sanctuary. And Tom had to give his sermon from the stage. And he claimed it was to show people that God's church can never close because you are God's church. But if you're God's church, why could you, and you're filled with the Spirit, and this is your calling, and you're supposed to be able to give a sermon, and you've been doing this for 30 years, and all the crap he would yell at us all the time of why we needed to listen to him. Why could he not sit in a chair and deliver his sermon? Why did he have to have a performance? Why did he have to stand on stage? Why did he have to hold his Bible and have his notes and dress in his little half suit, his little leather vest and all of that stuff that he would wear? Why did he have to do all of that? Why did he have to have the lights and all of it to give a sermon? Because children's ministry, they were doing it from their homes. Youth group was doing it from their homes. Everyone was pivoting. Tom never had to pivot.
No.
He claimed he tried. I don't know if he even really tried. But why did he have to stand on the stage? And so I'm like, okay, if you're going to stand up here and you're going to do this, you have to look at the camera. Because you look stupid looking out in an empty room. And you acknowledge that it's an empty room. It's one thing if you're recorded on a Sunday morning and people assume that the sanctuary is full of people and you're looking to the left and looking to the right and you're being what, a good speaker, you're actively looking around the room, right? That's one thing. If you acknowledge at the beginning of your sermon that you are in an empty building,
then it looks weird for you to pretend to talk to people that aren't in chairs.
you're walking from one side of the stage to the other, looking around the room, you look like an idiot. And so I begged him, please look at the camera. That first sermon was painful. And I think it's because he's never had to rely 100% on quote unquote being filled with the Spirit.
Yeah.
Ever. And that day he had to, because he didn't have people nodding along. He didn't have his father-in-law there shouting amen when he made a good point. And he didn't have the energy that came from finishing a worship set.
Yeah.
He had nothing.
Right. Which, because, I mean, that's the program. That's the script, right? Like, that's the point, is that you do all this on a Sunday. It's like clockwork. You are who you are. You stand up, you play the music, you give the sermon, you look at the faces. If you can't think of an example, there's somebody sitting in a seat for you to be like, oh yeah, I remember that time that, Sally, whatever her name is, did this, or, oh yeah, I remember talking to so-and-so about this. You know what I mean? Like, and so then you have things brought to mind. You've seen people, you've talked to them, you've had conversation, you can relate it to a point, like, yeah. So it is very interesting that when all of it's stripped away, like, you've never had to rely on, here you are, bare bones. Now what do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sermon was awful.
Yeah.
And do you think he acknowledged the fact that people are at home and they're scared? Or he acknowledged the fact that, there's people struggling? Do you think he acknowledged the fact that one person turned the entire church digital in 4 freaking days?
No.
Nope.
No, he gave the sermon that was on the schedule. That was the next one. When you flip the page, this is your next week's sermon.
Yep. You know why? Because you can turn on the news and you could hear all about how awful COVID is. These people need hope. And we gave them hope by talking about honoring God with your finances.
Yeah. It was the next sermon in the series. So dumb. It's so dumb. We're just going to keep going on like we're going on. I have no improvisational skills, so we're just going to keep going. I don't have time to write a real sermon. I only have this. There was no COVID sermon in my packet. That's just funny.
We record him.
Yeah.
And I go home and I edit in. I had made one video. I had taken one of his songs and I made a music video with words on it. I had done one of those previously for something else.
Yeah.
So I tacked that on the beginning.
It was like the slides that people see when they're in church. You got the slides on the wall and it has the words, and then like the band usually playing
with the lyrics. Yep.
This was the exact same thing in video form. It was like the wall picture or the screen, like the screen picture, and then the words, the lyrics, and the music behind it.
Yep. So I took that video I made, I put it at the beginning of his sermon. I did like a countdown, like I typically would, a countdown. I did the worship video. I did announcement slides. No one was talking.
Made a church service.
Yep. I essentially turned the church service into a recording. At the end, this is how you could give, put the stuff up and all of that. And then, I had to upload it. And so I uploaded not only his sermon, but the children's ministry message and the youth message, put them all up on our YouTube so they would all go live. And yeah, that was our first week fully digital. Tom didn't like what I did and asked me to make some changes. But at that point, I was like, you know what? You're like, I had killed myself for 4 days. Like, killed myself. And I wanted to honor him. And I was still in this, like, we're only doing this for 2 weeks. Like, we just got to get through these 2 weeks, right? And so I told him I would fix it, knowing full well for the next week I wasn't going to. Because I'm like, I'm not going to kill myself to make all these changes for it just to be 1 day.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we can't do our women's Bible study.
Nope. Like, wait, we had to postpone. We were going to launch it.
Yeah.
And then it became like the day we were supposed to launch, like it was going in the bulletin that Sunday that you're talking about. Like, hey, this is new thing is coming. And we're like, okay, well, do we still... There were so many unknowns. Like, we didn't know, like, 2 weeks. Is it, like, okay, so we have to postpone it a couple weeks. Like,
yeah. So I also, in the midst of all of this, implement Women's Ministry Live. So on the Women's Ministry Facebook page, we are going live. And it originally...
Did you start that right away? Like within the first 2 weeks?
The 27th, March 27th was the first Women's Ministry Live.
Wow. Like you were on it. You were like, oh, children's, bam, youth, bam, sermon, bam, women's.
When I tell you, I turned the entire church digital.
Yeah.
I'm not shitting you.
100%.
I turned the entire, anything we did in person, I turned it digital. I set it up to where Tom could do Zoom Bible studies on Wednesdays with the old people. I set it up to where men's breakfast could be over Zoom. I got everything all organized so everyone could still remain connected and it didn't matter.
And not miss a beat even for just like 2 weeks. Because, I mean, I remember at this time, like it was 2 weeks, but there was also murmurings of like, we think. There was always that, yeah, we think. That should do it. Hopefully.
I killed myself to make all of this happen. So we do a Women's Ministry Live on the 27th.
And you did it all battling everybody being home and on the internet.
Yeah. Like, so everyone is home, right? Every neighbor, you think about everyone who typically goes somewhere else during the day. If you're home during the day and you're using your internet, you're not battling everyone else in your neighborhood using the internet. Everyone's home now.
Yeah.
Right? So on the 27th, I do the first Women's Ministry Live. And we discussed it. Brandy and I discussed it. And she said, you need to do it because you need to show everyone how to do it. Because then other people, if they're the first ones, they're not going to be likely to do it. But if you did it first, then you could be like, hey, this is what you do. And they're like, oh, I could do that. And I was very hesitant of like me being the first one to do it. But even Charlotte said, no, you need to be the first one. Because Charlotte Charlotte's only had Facebook
for like a year.
since like, since September.
Yeah.
So like, she doesn't even fully understand how Facebook works, right? So she's like, yeah, you have to do it because I don't know. What do you mean we're going live? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm going to get on live and I'm going to talk in the camera. And as I'm talking in the camera, women can leave comments and I'm going to read those comments and I'm going to acknowledge them. And so as women are asking questions or they're saying something, I'm going to acknowledge it. That is a very common thing. Like you think you're watching a YouTube video or a TikTok live or, an Insta live, any of those things. That's a very common place. this was like I was talking Japanese to some of these older ladies. This was blowing their minds that they could do this. Right?
Yeah, I think the greater population of the people that we went to church with thought Facebook, because this is like me included, like is a place you post pictures and make comments about your life, right? And to keep in touch with people that you don't normally keep in touch with. But like, and then everything else is like people with like it's like Addie, you know what I mean? Like there isn't like, at least for me, I didn't feel like the Facebook Live thing was like so prevalent for me. And I'm on the cusp of like, I'm the older to the majority of the older people that we went to church with. So, and I was like, okay, like, I mean, I see them on Facebook, but I even am like, it's not in my scope of like how you do life. Like these younger kids, that's their whole life, you know?
Yeah.
So I would agree with that like statement. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I had to like explain to people, like, we're not going to see you. You're going to sit down and you're going to watch it on Facebook. I can't see you. You can be in your jammies. Your kids could be running all over screaming. Your dog could be climbing on your lap. No one cares.
Yeah.
You're going to watch, and all you're doing is you're engaging by typing comments or clicking the little, like, you know, thumbs up, laughy face, heart, you know, like that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
And so this kind of blew old ladies' minds that we could do this, but they were really excited.
Yeah.
And so we did that March 27th, and then March 29th was a Sunday again. And so again, it was just me and Tom in the sanctuary. And only this time, I took a paper plate and I drew a face on this paper plate. And it was like a big dinner-sized paper plate. And I put it up right underneath the camera because he was complaining that he had to look at someone and he couldn't see me because I was sitting down in the sound booth and he couldn't see me. And that's why he was looking around at the empty chairs, because he had to look at someone. And I'm like, you're looking at no one. Like, what? Why can you not? You're looking at no one in empty chairs. Why can you not look at the camera and look at no one? So I gave him someone to look at. And he was so mad at me. He was so mad at me that I put that paper plate up there.
I bet, because it was probably, he felt like it was patronizing. I totally.
Well, he did. He was like, do you think I'm a child? And I was like, no, but I just
somebody to look at.
You said you need to look at a face. I'm giving you a face to look at. Like, do you want me to, like, because I was looking at what other churches were doing, like trying to like get ideas and stuff. And I was like, there's this one church I found online that all of their people send in pictures and they printed out all the pictures and then they put them in the chairs that the people usually sat in. So then it was like, as the pastor was giving the sermons, he had their faces to look at. I was like, you want me to do that? I'll do that. And he's like, no, that's so stupid. And our people don't have usual chairs. They sit wherever there's a free spot. And I was like, okay. Like,
that's that. What church do you go to, sir? I could even still tell you today whose chair is what.
Exactly. I could walk in and be like, don't sit there. That old lady is going to be so mad at you.
Do you think he actually believes that? Like, does he actually not pay attention? Like,
I think
always sit in different spots.
I think at that point in time, he literally felt like our church was, because as we were looking at these things and we were looking at these other churches and everything, I think he had this mindset of, we're going to make it through this better because we are better.
Yeah, we're different. We're better. Yeah. Like even to the point of like, I don't know, they say like when you talk about like narcissists and how they make you feel crazy, it's because they can't change their crazy, right? Like their crazy is real. Their crazy is the way it is. And so they can't change their crazy. Like they can't, and I'm using the word crazy like in the wrong set, like as a blanket, like a generalization, I guess. But like
in order for them to change anything about the reality that they have and that they hold as truth, if they change any of that, that would make them wrong. So they don't do that. So then they just make everything your fault. And that's where like you go into that crazy that's why they're making you crazy, is because for them to veer would mean that they're wrong. And that would shatter their. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
Like,
no,
I don't
100%.
even know if I'm saying that correctly, but
no, 100%.
So it makes sense that like he's always got to be different. So you'd be like, well, look at this church; they put their people in their regular seats. Oh, our people don't sit in regular seats. Like that makes total sense. Total sense.
Yeah. So again, we're recording at night. So it is my pastor is asking me to break a law handed down by our county government and to meet him in a building, just the two of us, when, like, think of all of the times he had me have to come and sit in a meeting because he couldn't be behind closed doors alone with a woman in an office full of people. Like an office full of people with walls paper thin that we could hear what he was saying to people even when he closed the door.
Right.
He had to have me sit in there when he would bring a woman in because he couldn't be alone with her. But him and I could meet in that sanctuary at 11 o'clock at night, just the two of us, breaking the rules and I guess they were, I don't want to say laws because what was his?
They're like ordinances. Yes.
They're mandates. It's not a law. It's a mandate.
Go. Yeah.
And so, but like I struggled with this because I was trying so hard to follow every rule. I really struggled with like, well, what happened to like honor your authorities and, like give to Caesar what is Caesar, like all of those verses about like honoring your government and all of that. And like, and he was like, this is like, when they said they're gonna kill all Jesus's believers, and they hid and the Holy Spirit came upon them at Pentecost. Like he equated what him and I were doing, going in and recording sermons at 11 o'clock at night for 2 weeks, to the disciples fearing for their lives, hiding in an upper room when the Holy Spirit came upon them.
Burning Butterflies is a listener-supported podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing supporters on Patreon.
Follow the link in our show notes to learn how you can become a Patreon supporter too. Supporters get exclusive access to bonus content each month, including outtakes, cut content, and supporter-only episodes. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating on your listening platform.
Burning Butterflies is a production of Asha Media. Thank you for listening.